Hey there, Miss Susan. I'm going to give it just a second for everybody to hop on and join us. And let me make sure that... Hey, Patty. I hope you ladies had a Merry Christmas. Hi there, Marianne. I just want to check and make sure that they bump up our post in the group. Hi, Jamie. There's Shirley. And there's Miss Sue. Oh, thank you, Susan. We still got a couple minutes. I'm going to come on here really quick. I'm going to switch up here to my overhead. And I just want to give a shout out to Miss Susan there. She sent me a really pretty Christmas card. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed that, Susan. I didn't get it before the last live, but I did get it, and I wanted to make sure that I didn't leave you out. Anybody else that wants to do viewer mail, there's a address on the website, and we're going to go over to the website here shortly, so you'll get to see that. I'm looking forward to 2021 too. All right, let's go ahead and play that intro, guys, and we're going to get started. I want to give a shout out to EJ's Fun Prints. Thank you for supporting and being a channel member. Let's go back to the overhead for a second. This is the card that we're going to be making tonight. Now, the one we're making tonight is not going to, it's going to be very close. We're going to be using different fonts. This card is available to our supporters. I want to give a shout out and say thank you to all our Patreon, Ko-fi, and YouTube membership supporters who get access to my files. If you want to become a supporter, let us know. We have links on the screen for Ko-fi, and we also have them on the channel for Patreon. Links are down below, but we can get you those links now. And thank you to our moderator team as well. What we're going to be doing tonight is I'm going to put this card together because I've already printed this just for time's sake. But we're going to be teaching all of our newbies how to use some of the tools in Design Space and how to build a card from scratch. That's going to teach you how to use your scores, how to set up a print and cut, how to cut some glitter, how to cut some regular cardstock, and how to cut a print and cut. And also how to use your pens. We're going to cover changing blades and talking about a couple of things on your mats. So lots of information, especially for some of our people who just got Christmas Cricut machines. So we want to make sure that we cover some of the stuff for our new people as well as our experienced. That being said, a lot of you may know Design Space really well because you've been following me for a while. And in 2021, I am about to embark on getting very serious into using some Cricut for some projects so that I can do some videos for my supporters who want to learn Cricut. That being said, I want to give a shout out to Leo. Thank you, Leo, for your assistance from Dreaming Tree. He is going to be giving us some giveaways to do in the group here in the next couple of weeks. So you guys are going to be seeing some giveaways. Make sure you get in on those, and make sure you visit Dreaming Tree. He just came out with an absolutely fantastic little cookies bundle that I really like. So make sure that you go and visit him. There's a link down below for that. And as always, he has tutorials for all of his projects so that you can assemble them step by step with him. But if you get stuck, feel free to ask me. I'll help you all I can. All right. So that being said, let's go ahead and move over to the monitor, and we are going to talk about a couple of things. And there we go. Want to make sure it changes for you guys. There it is. Yeah, I love Dreaming Tree too. Lots of stuff. I did some of his Mother's Day a while back. Thank you for that link there. Yeah, for those of you who don't know what Sure Cuts a Lot is, you can take a look. You don't need the pro version. If you want it, that's fine and good, but just the regular version will do fine. Okay. All right. And, oh, we have chat coming up. It's all of a sudden started working. That's never worked before. That's weird. Okay. We're just going to leave it for now. I don't know how to take it off. It just started working, guys, but that works for the replay so that you guys can see chat. One thing I want to point out, if you're a supporter or if you're not a supporter and you're thinking about becoming a supporter, I want to bring you over to the website. It's craftingwithapril.co, not com. And when you sign up, your login and your register is what your email and your password that you pick. Yes, Sue, that's the one I did. That's a hydrangea box. It was amazing. I still use that file to this day for that hydrangea pattern. So, I mean, it's awesome files. You guys have to check them out. But when you come over to this site, your login and your register is what you pick. That is your email and your password. When you try to log in on one of these pages, and it's not going to pop up because I'm already logged in, when you try to click on a supporters only file, you're going to get a black box that pops up asking for a password. And when it pops up, you're going to have to enter the password that I have supplied you as a supporter so that you can get to the files and the tutorials that we have set up for those particular files. Okay? One of the other things that people are getting confused on, they're saying they can't find a file. They're coming over here to the Supporter 2020, but they're clicking on the drop downs. This is Christmas 2019, and these are the Christmas 2020 files, and that is just so that you had easy, quick access to those. That is nothing more. This in itself is a tab. If you click on it, that's going to bring you to your calendar page with all of the files. These are all the files for 2020 in this tab. So the last few weeks, if you've been following, there's all the files that we've done the last few weeks. Okay, so make sure that you understand. I know Weebly is kind of weird. It doesn't highlight it. I've tried to fix it and tried to do stuff, and it just won't do it. It will give me the drop downs and the drop overs. I got to fix that to make sure it drops back down. I did it as a drop over. Trying to get these to highlight when you're on them. I'm going to research it and see if I can't fix that for you guys, but that is a tab. So right there, that's tab 1, tab 2, tab 3. So any of you who have been confused before, just click on the actual header and it will take you to that page. And I will still try to get it fixed. This is the last file that's going to be in this section. If you're a supporter, you're going to be coming here to this one. And there is going to be a calendar that separates, and we're going to come up with codes on the files so that it makes it easier for you guys to find it. So if you're looking for something that is a January 2021 file, it's going to have the date that we released it. So I don't know if it's going to have the full date, but it's going to have like 01/21, something like that. so that it makes it easy. And I'm going to leave the calendars in there so that you know everything below. You know, if we did a file in February, that it's going to be in the February files. If we did it in March, it's going to be in the March files, just to make it easier for you guys to find files. Because we're getting so many, we need to have a little bit of organization coming down the pipes on those. Okay? So that's to clarify for all of the supporters. So let's get started. To lay out your card, now I do have my Cricut page here where I've already done this and printed it for time's sake. I have not done the rest of it because I wanted to kind of cover the ink pens and stuff like that while we were cutting with you guys. So I'm just going to keep this minimized because I'm going to need to use that. Alright, so you got a Cricut and now you're trying to figure out how to use Design Space and how to make a card or Make It Now project. If you want to Make It Now project, all you have to do is go to Projects and select your project, and then you can customize or you can just click Make It. When you click on these guys, it's going to open up and it's going to tell you all you need in the materials, your prep, your cuts, what to do, and what images are in there. Okay, so all of that information is going to be there. We do have Learning Design Space videos, but on Mondays we're going to do some lessons and show you how to lay out some projects. So come by and ask your questions. If you have questions, put them in caps so the moderators can see them and they will be happy to answer. And if we need to show you on screen, we will. And we will come back if we need to. So I'm just going to go back to my canvas. We're going to do a new project. And we're going to start with a shape. And we're going to get a square. Super easy, super simple. To resize that square, if you just stretch it, it's going to stay as a square. And if you unlock it, then it's going to change into a rectangle. I am on the classic view. If yours doesn't look like mine, you can come over and go to your settings and come over here and change it to classic. The new style, mine is still having some glitches, so I can't use it. Everything doesn't work properly for me, so I am on the classic view. Hopefully before they take this classic away, they'll have the issues fixed on the new canvas. So all I'm going to do is unlock from my square. Does it square again now? You want to unlock it here, or you can come up to the toolbar and unlock it here. And I want a 5x7 card, okay? And if I make that 5x7, that is just going to be a panel because we have to fold this in half, and that's going to be a really skinny card. So what I need to do is to make sure that I double my width and make it 10. And then my height will be 7. And I'm just going to change that to a white just so that we can see the stuff that we're adding on to it. But now I need to fold my card in half. So the next thing that I'm going to need is another shape, and that's going to be my score line. And it's going to insert that when I click on it and bring it in. It's going to come in at 3.111 inches. We need to change that to 7, and you don't have to unlock it because you can't change the width of it. You're going to select those two. Then you're going to come back to your toolbar up here. You can see that with nothing selected, it's not lit up. So if yours is grayed out, that means something's not selected. Now you can drag your mouse and select them both like this, or you can select over here in the layers panel to your right and select the line. You can see that that turned gray, and I'm holding my shift key and I'm going to select the square. There have been reports that holding the shift key and selecting the other item is not working. If you're in the new canvas, switch to the classic and it should work. Okay? Once you have it all selected, you're going to select a line. You can see that it's not grayed out now. And then we're going to align it center because we want that score line to be dead center of that card. And then down at the bottom right, you're going to attach. If you do not attach it, but if you group it instead, Grouping is only going to move it around the canvas together. When you hit make it, it's going to separate it into two different mats, and so you're going to be putting a score line on one mat and your card on another mat. That's not going to do you any good. If you attach it, that's like stapling it on so it doesn't move, and then when you send it to the mat, when you hit make it, it comes over and it stays on your card. Okay? And I will just show you the difference just so that you guys, I'm going to detach it. If it comes over and it comes out like this in two different mats, then you know you have not attached it. Okay? So make sure you're selecting it all and attaching. So now we have our card base. So that part is basically done. We're going to be adding to it, but it is basically done. Yes, thank you, Jamie. Command on a Mac. I still call it Control. I use a Mac, but I call it Control because most people have Windows. So now I want to add a panel to that card. If you notice the card, I had another panel in there. But before I do, I'm going to get another shape. I'm going to hit select, and I'm going to make that 5 by 7. I'm going to unlock it. Again, you can unlock it with the handle or here. We're going to make it a 5 by 7. Okay, I'm going to lock that back. That is going to be my black panel back. And I'm going to select it all. I'm going to align top, align right. Now I know that it is aligned perfectly to the right side of my card, which is the inside of the card. When you're working on your card, you are working on the inside of your card. Okay? Just so everybody knows, because that's where your text is going to go. So I'm going to select text, and I'm just going to say Happy New Year on this one. I'm not going to make it say anything more than that, just for purposes of time. So now I have this Happy New Year, and I'm just going to move this out of the way. I should have waited to align that, but that's okay. You guys saw how to do it. I'm going to size that down. Now it's not going to be that bold because right now I have it set, and if you look at my line type, it is set for a cut, not draw. We're going to draw that on there. And if I select draw here, you're going to see what happens to those letters. It just does the outline, okay? Whenever you select a font in Design Space that is not a single line font, then you will, it's going to follow the cut lines, just like it was cutting it, except it's going to draw it. Okay, it doesn't know that you don't want it to do this to be hollowed out. In order to do that, you need to come here and change it to a writing font. Not all fonts are writing fonts. If you pick a font that is not a writing font, it's going to do the same thing as it did there, and it's going to hollow it out and follow the cut lines. Okay, so if you're looking for it to be more like a writing, like handwriting, then you need to make sure that you're selecting a writing font. And if you come over here and select the font, all means all the fonts on the device that you are using and your Cricut fonts in Design Space. Your Cricut fonts are not on your computer unless you've downloaded them here. And the only reason you would really need to download these is if you know you're going to be working offline. If you're not going to be working offline, you can use these fonts just as normal. You don't have to do anything differently. You do not have to download these unless you plan to work offline. Okay? All fonts, again, that's all the fonts on that device. So if you have uploaded a font to your iPad and you put it in a project, and then you hop over to your computer and you try to use it and you don't have that font installed on your computer, it's going to tell you that that is not supported, and it's going to change it to the Arial font most likely, or a compatible font that is on the system. When you upload a font, you have to upload it on every device that you might use Cricut Design Space on, or it's going to tell you you don't have that font. Okay? That's what a system font is. have this font here on my computer, but if I go to my iPad, I did not upload this on my iPad, so if I try to use it on my iPad, it's going to tell me it's not supported, that it's not there. I have to upload it on the iPad as well, and on my phone, so that if I want to open this project on any device, then it will open using that font. Is everybody with me so far? Please don't hesitate to ask questions. It's the way you're going to learn. Please, 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 if you're confused, let us know. And then here you have Cricut fonts, and this is just going to show your Cricut fonts. There are programs that we use, Font Cloud, things like that, that will show us all of, there's another one, what is it, wordmark.it, wordmark.it. It will show you fonts that are on your system. It will not show you the Cricut fonts. It will not show those to you. It doesn't matter what programs you're using. The Cricut fonts are within Design Space, and your system does not read that when it goes to read what your TTFs and your OTF file extensions. It cannot read what's in Design Space. Okay? So that's why when you're trying to use other programs, you're not seeing these. I've seen that question a lot this week. It's not pulling up my Design Space fonts. It's not going to in an outside program. And if you've switched from your iPad to your computer and you haven't installed it on both, it's not going to show there either in your system. Okay? So back to the Cricut fonts. We're going to go to Cricut fonts, and we're just going to select one. And I'm just going to use Perfect Day here. And you can see that it put that font in there. I'm just going to resize it a little bit. I'm okay with the spacing, but if you don't like the spacing for whatever, you can come up here and put it closer together or farther apart. Totally up to you. The line space, is you have 2 lines, it's going to put the gap in between so that you know what you're doing there with those fonts. So when you're looking and you know that you want a writing font, all of these are not writing fonts, go to your filter. Okay, go to Cricut fonts if that's what you want to use, and go to your filter and select writing fonts, and you can see that it dropped out everything that was not a writing font. So now I know if I select these that I've got a nice little writing font to do my card with. Okay, and we're just going to stay with a Perfect Day on there, so if you're with me and you're using that, that's perfectly fine. Now I know that that is there, but I'm going to bring over my card. I'm going to select those 2 again. I don't have my draw selected. You can see up here. I'm going to align to the right of my card and to the top of my card. Okay, and now I'm just going to, let me make this a different color so you guys can see it. And there's my Happy New Year. Now I like mine to be a little high up, but if you want your center, you can do it center. I'm going to select that and just the green piece. I'm not selecting my card down here. I'm going to align horizontally, and it's going to shift that over so that it is in the middle of my 5x7 area, which is the right-hand side of my card if I pull this out. Now I know I have the same amount of space here and here, so I know that it's in there correctly. I'm going to select them both and attach. Okay, so now my card is complete. When I fold it, Happy New Year is going to be on the inside. Now I need to work on my outside front. This is my panel. I like it to be a little bit smaller than, let me arrange and bring that to the front. I like it to be a little bit smaller. I'm going to call this my card front, even though it's the inside front. I want it to be slightly smaller than the card front itself. So I'm going to unlock it, and I'm going to make that a 4.75. That's 4 3/4 by 6.75. And that gives, not a 0.1. It didn't like my typing. There we go. And then I'm just going to lock that back. So now when I place that on there, you can see that I have this border all the way around to make it pop out, that panel pop out just a little bit. And now I want another panel on the top of that. So I'm going to duplicate that, and then I'm going to change that to white. You can make yours whatever color you want. I also want that panel to be a little bit smaller than that black panel. So I'm going to unlock it again, and I'm going to change that to 4.5 by 6.5, which is going to be 4.5 by 6.5. And now you can see that black panel gives a slight border to that one. So now we have our draw set up. We can look over here in our layers panel. We have our score attached to our card base, and we have both of our panels. Now we need some text to go on our card. And I had this one set up to say the first rule of 2021 is never talk about 2020. So let's go and get some text. And I know that I want this to all be in caps. The first rule of, and you can see that my Cricut font doesn't do caps in this one. A perfect day, it's not doing the caps. So I'm going to go in and look for something. There's alien. That's kind of cool. So I'm going to use that one just for this video. We're going to pull that up to the top. I'm going to set that, and I'm going to come up here and make sure that I have changed my line type to cut. You want to be set on cut here, okay? We don't want these letters to cut out because we're going to be printing them. They wouldn't cut very well this small, but it is a nice thin font, and that's something that I wanted there. If you want this, there we go, a little bit bolder, we're going to make sure that everything is off of, make sure it's on cut. I'm going to select my font, make sure it's on regular. Some of them have a bold where you can change it to bold. If it doesn't, then you might want to select another font. So now I've got my first rule of, that's part of my text. I want to make that a little bit smaller. So my next line is 2021. And I'm just going to use the basic Cricut font here. I don't really want that in the center of that 2021. I want it to be a little bit bolder because I'm trying to make that a shadow layer. For my gold, I want it to pop. So I'm going to go back to the basic Cricut font. Cricut Sans, there we go. There we are. And you can see that it defaulted to writing because that's what I was using before. I am going to make sure that we change that to cut. So if you did your draw first, you may run into that. Let me clear this filter. That's what's wrong. If your filter's on, it's going to do that. And there's 2021, and take that off writing, and we're going to go bold on that. There we go. So now I have my 2021, and it's in bold, and it's cutting. And then I had used a script font. So I'm going to get another text box, and we're going to type never talk. And then I did a third line. Oops, I did these in lowercase too. And you can see that I hit enter and put my about down here on a second line. Now I'm going to use my alignment tool. This is my text alignment. You will not see those toolbars if you don't have any text selected, guys. You have to have it selected. And then I'm going to align it center because I want it to be aligned this way. But I don't want to use that font. I want something scripty. And I'm just going to go over. I know that I have Magnolia Sky uploaded on my computer. So that's the one that I want to use for this. You can upload this at Font Bundles or at Dafont.com. If you upload it from Dafont.com, it is a sample font. Does not come with a license. If you're going to be selling, you need to make sure that your font is licensed. If you buy it, then it's going to come with one. So now I have that, and I've got it sized just about right, but it just doesn't look quite right because none of my script letters are connected. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Advanced, and I'm going to ungroup it to lines. So now I have two separate lines of text. And then I'm going to go up to my letter spacing, and I'm going to start shrinking that down. and bringing those in. I'm going to blow this up so that you guys can see it, because we want to make sure that we get those spaced in where they touch properly. And you can see that, there we go, that tail of that N is now hidden behind that E, but this is a little too close together for me. So now I'm going to go to Advanced, and if you look in your Layers panel here, this is not going to be one line anymore. It's going to become individual letters when I do that. Okay? Now I'm just going to click one letter. I'm going to hold my Shift key. This is not working in the new canvas. It does still work in the classic canvas. I'm going to select each one of those letters because I'm happy with the way they're spaced. And then I'm going to weld. And you can watch in your Layers panel, I have the word never selected, and I'm welding. And now it is one welded layer. I'm just going to kind of scoot it out of the way. And now I'm going to hold my Shift key again, and I'm going to select the letters and talk, and I'm going to weld them. Okay, and I'm just going to slide these over. I'm holding my Shift key and sliding it over so that it stays in line. Again, that is not working in the new canvas. It is still working in the classic. Now about, it is the same thing. I want to pull those letters in with my letter space. And we're just going to scoot those in till it looks good to us. Now all of this is looking good, but that T doesn't. So I'm going to Advanced, ungroup to Letters. I'm going to select my T, hold my Shift key, and slide it over slightly. Then I'm going to select the other letters, and we're going to weld. When you weld, if your center of your O's or your E's fill in, you need to just make this bigger and then weld it, because it means that the tail of that is into that letter and it's telling it to close it up. And then you can resize it, or you can just back your letter off just a little bit and then weld it. Okay, so now we have all of those, and I'm just going to arrange them the way that I like them there. You can make sure that they're centered horizontally and all of that with your align tools, but I kind of like the look of that, so I'm going to weld those together. I'm not welding any of this yet until I get to that point. I want to make sure that everything is lined up like I want before I line up all of my lines. So now I need my 2020, and I did use a different font on that. I'm just going to get text, and I'm just going to type in 2020. And I'm just going to go with that. I like that font, okay. So I'm just going to leave it at Magnolia Sky. So now I'm going to select my 2020, my Never Talk About, my 2021, and my First Rule Of. And that's what I've got. And I'm going to align them, center them horizontally, and let it line them up. I'm going to look at them. This I want to move up. I'm just hitting my up arrow just to move it up just a little bit. Just going to hold my Shift key and drag this down. And that looks pretty good to me. Now, if I send that to the mat like it is, it's going to cut all of this because it's not laid out correctly. If I select all of those and I attach it for a print and cut, I just want to show you guys. If you can see grid behind your layers of attachment, that means it's going to cut out. That is negative space. It will cut out. So if you just bring that up and you attach it to this, align, center. I want to center it on there. Watch what happens. Okay? Looks pretty good, but it's hollowed out. It is not going to write it like that. It is going to cut each and every one of these letters right out of this piece of white cardstock. It's going to chop it all up. It's going to cut it out of there. That is not the look that we're looking for here. Whenever you're doing words or anything like that, you need to have a shape behind it. either a circle, a square, whatever shape. It doesn't matter as long as there is a shape behind it. If I were to flatten this like this, if I were to flatten it, it's going to cut this square, but it's going to cut all of this stuff out individually. It's not aligned right. You can see grid behind it, and that means it's going to cut it away. Okay? You need to make sure that it is fully lined up like you want it onto a shape, and then flatten. And now if you look in the layers panel here, it says cut and print. It's going to cut it, it's going to print it, and then it's just going to cut the square. It is not going to cut those letters. Okay? I forgot to do my 2021. Let me unflatten that. Let me go back, and let me duplicate that. Now, if you had welded all of these together, it's not going to let you select that 2021 out of there. You can, however, weld them usually. I've still got it flattened. That's why. If you don't have it on flattened, I've already got it on flattened. If it's not flattened, it's set on cut, then you can use your contour after you've welded it, and you can get that out of there usually. Don't know what's happening here. Why is it flattening out? Let me change it so you guys can see. If this happens to you, you just want to go to no fill. Make sure your line type is on cut. Make sure it says cut in your layers panel. And now you have contour. You can contour out your numbers and change it and fix it if you have any issues. Okay? I'm just going to undo that because I need that to stay on cut. So if you forget to do your 2021 and you need that because we're going to change that color to gold, we're going to be cutting that out of some glitter cardstock. Oops, helps if I attach that. Align, center, flatten. There we go. So now we have our panel ready to cut, and then we have our 2021. I'm just going to arrange and move that to the front. And we can offset that. And I really don't want those two little squares, so I'm going to contour that because I did weld it. We're going to come in here and we're going to take those out. There we go. I only want the numbers because we're going to set those off like a shadow layer. Everybody with me? You guys are quiet tonight. Okay, so now at this point you want to look up here and you see Untitled and you see an asterisk. You want to do a save and you want to name your project. And I'm just going to name this because I'm not going to keep it. I already have one for you guys. And hit save. Once you've saved it, then your asterisk will be gone and you have a title. Okay? If you move anything on your canvas, then your asterisk is going to come back. That is a reminder that you have not saved your project. Once you save it, it will go away. Okay? It will be gone. If you want to share your project, okay, a lot of people are under the misconception. We're going to go into edit project details. Well, let me back up a moment. When you click on a project, and this is any project, this is Make It Now, all of them, it will tell you everything that you have used in that file right here. It will tell you everything. You can also right-click in the Layers panel, even if you're welded letters and you want to know what font that was. If you come down to, is it going to give it to us? It's not working now. It looks like they've already done away with that. That stinks. It used to tell us what the font was. Now the image thing is gone. I hope they're fixing that. In the old Design Space, you could click on it and you would have an image here and it would show it to you. Let's see if it's working in the new. Just going to switch over to settings, go to the new canvas. And let's see. Yep, it's working in the new canvas. So you can we're just going to have to toggle back and forth till they get everything fixed, guys. You can go and right click on that layers panel, and it's grayed out, but it tells you right here that that was the font Cricut Sans. So if you need to duplicate something, you can. Right here, image info, it's going to tell you image sets, the square. It's unless you unflatten it, it's not going to tell you the text. Okay. Right here, image info, perfect day. But it also tells us here, because we didn't weld it and we didn't ungroup it to letters. Okay, so there are many ways to tell what you've used in your project just by clicking the title or in your layers panel. Now, when you want to share a project, you can simply click here, copy the project link, and you can share it there. You can share it on Facebook. You can share it on Pinterest. If you say typoed and you didn't have tutorial right, or you wanted to do your, call this a 2020 tutorial, this is where you're going to change that. This is where you're going to put in your photos. You're going to click here and upload your photos, put in the photos that you want to use. I'm just going to use this. How about we just print for now as a photo? So you're going to add your photos and do everything right there. You're going to add a description. You can say that this is a New Year's card for 2021. Whatever you want to put in there. If it's a box, if it's vinyl for a t-shirt, whatever you're cutting, you're going to do your description. Then you're going to add your tags. We're going to say this is a card. It's made from cardstock or paper crafts. Whatever tags you want to add. You can add up to 15 tags, okay? A lot of people in this description, you have up to 500 limit on characters. If there's special instructions to print it and then layer your gold numbers up on top of it, you can put that in there. Right here, who can view this project? If you put only you, I don't care how many times you copy that link and you share that link, nobody's going to see that project except you. Okay? If you put it on anyone with the link, if I leave it on anyone with the link and you saw that I copied that project link, if I share that link with you, you will be able to open it because you have the link, and I said anybody with the link can open it. However, if I upload anything into that, if I upload a picture of a baby monkey in there and it was part of my little card on the inside, then even if I gave you the link and I put anyone with the link, you are not going to be able to open it because I uploaded an image into that project. Now, I have uploaded a font in there. We used the Magnolia Sky for Never Talk About and the 2020. I welded them. When I welded them, that enabled me to share that. And because it is a font, I can share it and you can open it. If you don't weld it, it will prompt them, if they do not have that font on their system, to install that font, or it's going to default to probably the Arial font. Okay? So even if you upload a font, if they don't have that font on their system, they're going to be prompted to get that font, or the project will default to something that is on their computer, like Arial. Now, when you get down here to everyone, what does that do? If I use that, and I'm going to go ahead and do that just so you guys can see, and I'm going to hit save. I'm not going to leave it in there, but we are. Now, I can copy that project link, and I can share that with anybody. Okay, it's probably not going to with that, well, it might with that photo. I can copy that project link, I can share it on Facebook, and I can share it on Pinterest. But what does that do when I select everybody? What's the difference between that and anyone with the link? What that does is if you've set up your profile and you come up to profile, boom, there's that project. Now anybody that looks at my profile in the Cricut community, they can see that project, they can open it, and they can make it as long as I didn't upload anything. Okay, that is what that does. Let's go over to projects. I'll see if it pops up. Where do those go? Right here. If you go into the Cricut community, and it may take it a while to show up, but if I search maybe my name, I don't know, it might come up. It's not bringing it up, but it is bringing up this one. This is mine. This is not mine. Some of these are mine, some of these are not mine. So it's going to be hard to tell. It does take it a little while to process, I think, but if they're in your community on your profile, it's there immediately. Okay, so I'm just going to delete that project because I'm not going to keep it. I've already got one for my supporters. You guys have that up on the thing. So let's go ahead and let's make that card so that you guys can see. Because I'm going to be showing you some things while that is making. We're going to do it in real time. How much time do we have? We have plenty of time. We've got 14 minutes. Wow. That was quick. We covered a lot. So let's, where are you? There it is. Ta-da. All right. So now I've gone over, I'm going to cancel this just so you guys can see the steps. I'm going to click customize. And we're going to come up here and we're going to hit make it. That's going to be your next step. Once you hit make it, it's going to bring you over here. If you need to make any adjustments on your screen, if you want it to cut at a certain place on your mat because you have a certain paper that you're using, this is where you can move that around. This is where you can mirror if you're doing iron-on, all of those things. Okay, here's our black piece, and then here's our gold 2021. Now, I'm going to be showing you, I'm just going to go ahead and move this, and I'm going to show you why. I'm going to be using a piece that I already used because I've already made a couple of these cards. And if I leave this here, it's going to cut where I've already had pieces cut out on this cardstock. So I'm going to slide it all the way over to the right, okay, because I've got things cut out of this cardstock right here. So I know that's where I want this 2021 to cut for me. I'm going to go back to this one because whatever I'm on here, when I send it over to the mat, that's what it's going to be on. So we're going to hit continue. And now I've already printed mine, so I'm going to be using this I've already printed here in a moment. But because you guys haven't seen it and you don't know maybe how to set up print and cut, we're going to go over it. So we're going to send that to my printer. I am going to leave my bleed on. Even though this is white and it really doesn't matter, if you are doing this on a piece of color and putting white cardstock into your printer and you wanted this to be, say, light yellow, you would have a light yellow coloring here. If you want it to have that light yellow coloring edge to edge, you need to leave your bleed on. That's going to ensure that you don't have any white edge and then part of it have a colored edge when you're doing colored images. The only time I turn my bleed off is if I am printing on clear materials because I don't want that fuzzy edge. You're not going to see that fuzzy edge here. On some images, it's going to be all blurry because that bleed is on. It is okay. Bleed lines, if the inside of this card looks all blurry, you have not flattened properly. They indicate cut lines. So if the inside of your image is all blurred, you know you have not properly flattened it for a print and cut at this point. So I'm going to turn on my system dialog and hit print. What that system dialog does, and mine pops up behind, so yours may pop up behind as well. So you may have to scoot your window down. I'm going to close this one. You may have to scoot your window down and it may be back here. I'm using 2 screens, so mine came up on the other screen, but normally it comes up behind and I have to drop my window down. Why do we do that? Yours may look a little different. Mine's an Epson Workforce 7720, so you may not have all the buttons that I have here. Yours will look similar. I am just going to tell this that I want my paper to feed from my rear tray because I'm using a heavyweight cardstock or paper, and I don't want it to go around the rollers from the main tray because it might jam. So I am telling it to take the paper that I'm going to insert into the printer from that rear tray. Yours may slightly differ. You'll have to know your computer. Once you do, then you hit print and it's going to print it out. I'm going to cancel this because I've already printed it for time purposes. We're going to pop over and start cutting and putting our card together. So let me make sure that we get it to move. There it goes. Okay, so here's my cardstock, and you can see that I've already cut these, so I wanted to move that 2021 over to cut over here. But our first mat, as it showed on the screen, I'm going to be popping back and forth, guys, so you guys bear with me. The first mat, we just printed this. So this is the one that it's wanting. So I'm going to check my mat. This is one of the newer mats, and it's not quite as sticky as some can be. If your mat is super sticky, you're going to want to take a t-shirt, a clean white t-shirt, and pat it. We call that detacking, so that your material doesn't curl when you peel it off. And we're just going to place that on the mat. Now you can't see my maker, and I can't get it over here and give it enough clearance because you need space behind it. I am inserting my mat into the machine under the guides up against the rollers, and I do have videos from 2019, and it shows this, and this has not changed. So the mat screen will still work for you if you want to watch that video. Just holding it against the rollers, and I am going to load my mat with the arrow buttons. If you're on an Air 2, please put your dial on custom and leave it there, and you can select your material on screen like we're going to do. So let me go back over there. So I've got it, and it says it's already printed. We've printed it, and now I need to select our material. So I'm going to go into Popular, and here is my medium cardstock. Cricut picks these for us. If you don't see what you want in there, you can browse all materials and then type in cardstock. And if you're on an Air machine, this is where you're going to select your materials as well, if you put it on custom and leave it there. So now I have all of these cardstock choices, and I can put, let's see, I don't have this one. Those are on. Let me go with holographic. I'm going to click that and put that into my favorites. If I click that star, that's going to add that to my favorites, okay? But what I'm looking for is I'm just going to be cutting this on basic 80-pound cardstock. So I'm just going to go, not to material settings. I don't need that. We'll get into that later. If you're learning, you don't need to be in there. But that's how you can search for them. We're going to select the medium. I'm going to leave it on default. And then it tells me tools and materials are loaded. I need to load my fine tip blade, and that's it. It's the same thing. What's loaded and what's coming up are going to be the two same things. And then I'm just going to hit my flashing C button, which is your Cricut button right here. I'm just going to click that on the machine, and it's going to start reading that and scanning it, okay? And then it's going to cut the square. While that's doing that, I'm going to cover something over here with you guys, just so you won't be bored listening to that machine. Okay. Changing blades. These do not come apart. And this is the same as the one in my machine. This is just color-coded pink for fabric. So if you're cutting on an air and you have a fabric blade, that's so you can keep your blades separate, fabric from paper. But to change a blade, all you're going to do is depress the top, and your blade's not going to fall out. They're magnetic, okay? But it is going to push it out so that you can grab it and pull it out. Replace your blade with the new blade. You're just going to drop it right at the top, press your button. Well, I say just drop it. Depress your button and drop that in. Doesn't want to take the magnet. I don't know why it's not taking my... I'm going to blow it out. I've probably been using it. There we go. I felt it click, then it pulled it in. So just drop it in. You'll feel it, pull it, and then let go of your button. Then that blade is in there. Super easy, super simple to change your blade in any of these right here. You can just drop them in. There. That's all you do. Pull it out, drop it in. It's done. Super easy, super simple. Okay? So now we've cut our 2021. And this is a fresh mat. This is my top layer. I'm going to flip it over, and then I'm going to peel my cardstock off of it rather than peeling it like this. And you're going to see why. You see how it, well, it didn't because my mat is detacked. But it will make your cardstock curl when you peel it off. It will be curled like this if your mat is too sticky for your material. So make sure that you're detacking your mat and you're flipping it over and taking your paper off of it in that manner. So the next screen is going to show that it wants me to load. I'm going to still be on medium cardstock because I'm going to use a piece of white cardstock. It wants me to load my pen, and I have a maker, so it wants me to use my scoring wheel and then press load. And then I have the fine tip pen coming up. Okay, so if you don't have an air machine, then you have to use the scoring stylus, which is what I'm going to use tonight. I'm just doing a card. I'm not doing any thick material, so it doesn't really matter. If you don't have your scoring wheel yet, you can edit and click scoring stylus and then apply. And then you can see that this will change. Now it's telling me to load my scoring stylus in clamp A, and then my fine point blade, which is already in there from the last cut, in clamp B, load the mat and hit that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to put that white paper right on the mat. I'm going to pop over here just so you guys can see. I told you we were going to be going back and forth. Don't mean to make you guys dizzy. So I've got my white paper on the mat. Here is my pen, and here is my scoring stylus. And again, you have your option of your scoring wheels if you have those. And we're going to cover the difference between those while this is working. So I'm putting in the scoring stylus, and I'm just pressing it down till it clicks. And my arrow is just about gone. I have used this. But yours will have an arrow on it. You shouldn't be able to see that arrow when it snaps in. And you're just going to load your mat up, holding it against the rollers, and then you're going to press the go button. And it's going to score it, and then it's going to tell us to change. So let's go over and watch that for a quick second. And then after the scoring is done, it's going to tell you to load your pen. So all I'm going to do is unlock clamp A. I'm going to put in my pen the same way I did that stylus until it clicks. And then I'm going to close the clamp, and then I'm going to hit the flashing C again. That's it, guys. That's all there is to writing on your cards. So now you've done print and cut, and you've done writing. So, with that being said, if you're new and you have a maker, this is not a scoring wheel. This is the rotary blade that came with your machine, and it is extremely sharp. Do not cut yourself. How can you tell the difference? There's a big difference in the way that they look on the side view. From this view, not much, but from the side view, big difference. And the top. One has a silver button, one does not. Your rotary blade and your knife blade look like this. They are not quick change tips. You cannot interchange them with anything except a rotary blade or a knife blade. All of the others are tips. You can depress that button on the top, pull off the tool cap, and then you can replace it with any other. So as long as you have one tool with a quick swap housing, you can buy just the tips for the others, okay? So if you get your scoring wheel combo with your 01 and 02, and on my site that I showed you earlier, craftingwithapril.co, we have a resource guide, and it has a blade chart with all of the tools in there so that you can tell them apart. But the ones with silver buttons are quick swap. Without silver buttons, there are only two, and those are your rotary blade and your knife blade. So I'm just going to eject the mat. I'm going to take my pen out and cap it so that it doesn't dry out. And I use the one that came with my machine, your 0.4. And again, I'm just going to flip it over and remove my card. Okay. And then I'm going to get rid of my scrap, which are good scraps. Don't throw those away. You can use those. And then I had a little scrap of black here, and I'm going to use that for it to cut my panel. I'm just going to place that on the mat, and we're going to load that up and just hit the load button and then the cut button. I'm just following the on-screen prompts. Again, you can see that it showed me the black mat there, so that's what we're putting on. Now, that being said, guys, black paper can be very difficult to cut. It's very fibrous. So if you're not getting good cuts, it may not be your blade. It might be the cardstock or the humidity. And I'm just going to show you that really quick because it just happened to me. You can see that it cut, if I can get over there. You can see that it cut my white cardstock without a problem. I didn't change a thing. Look what, it didn't want to cut my black. So you can check that, or I just generally just use my scissors. I just pop it out and then trim it up, any fuzzies on it. But black cardstock, it just, I don't know why, it just tends to do that. And then I just trim my little fuzzies off. You can use your True Control knife or your knife blade. And this was a scrap that I used. It had a little bit of a bend in it, so I really didn't, it doesn't really matter. But if you're doing this for the first time and you want it to come out perfect, which I know you do, then just let it, check it before you unload your mat, and let it, if it's not cut all the way, don't unload your mat and hit your C button again and it will cut it. Dark cardstocks can do that, Shirley. It's not you. Sometimes it's just the cardstock. Okay? Black, I try never to cut black in really intricate, especially like the front of our card here. I would never try to cut something like this out of black cardstock. Black vinyl, yes. Black cardstock, no. And that's just something that takes time to learn. Okay? And remember, we slid our 2021 over here on our mat, so that should cut right here. And we're going to pop over and take a look at that because we need to make a change. Because our material changed. Okay? So, right here, I'm going to come up. I'm on this mat, and I know I can edit. If you forget to move that, and you know that you need it to cut over there, you can still come over to edit, and you can move that. Okay, so if you're afraid it's not going to cut out of that section, I'm showing it's past the 8-inch mark, and I should be fine. I don't have anything. I have full cardstock at the 8-inch mark, so I'm good with it. Just going to say done, but I need to change this. So I have saved mine as a favorite for glitter cardstock. That's what I'm cutting, so I'm going to select it. And I do not suggest fast mode for things like this, especially numbers and letters or anything glitter, because it can chew it up. Sometimes it won't be available, sometimes it will. Depends on your material. Fast mode is not available for all material. Yeah, black and red get me too, Jamie. They get me all the time. And navy blue. Navy blue gets me a lot. So I'm just going to load my mat just like we've been doing. And I've got it on glitter, and I'm going to hit my flashing C, and then we're going to start cutting that 2021. So while that's cutting, let's go ahead and start putting our card together. So here's my base, and I've got my score line on there. So I'm just going to fold this on my score line, and it's going to start to crease there, keeping my edges even, because you can pull it off the score. Just try to keep it on your score. And then this is my next panel, and I'm using art glitter glue. I just have a different bottle for it here, guys. I say I am, if I'm not clogged. I'm always got a clog. No matter what bottle I use, no matter what fine tip I use. Oops. Okay, just to save time. Just going to use my tape runner. But you can get art glitter glue at artglitter.com. They cannot ship it in freezing weathers, so make sure that you're aware of that and that you stock up before winter hits your way. Let's see if that works. I'm just going to set that mat to the side. We don't need it yet, and then we'll peel that in a moment. There we go. So I'm just going to get some art glitter glue. You can use the fine tip. This bottle has a fine tip in it. It's an old tonic glue bottle. We're just going to center that up in there. Remember, we designed it so that we had a border around it so that it made that panel pop. Just going to put that on. We're going to glue this one on. And this card really is quick. We just had to go through the design layout for all of our new guys. Welcome to your world of Cricut, your new obsession. So now we've got our panels all glued down, but we need that pop of color on there. So now we're going to come over here, and I'm just going to flip it over, and I'm going to peel away my main piece of cardstock, because I don't want to bend this up. That's not scrap. I'm not going to throw it away. I'm going to keep cutting on it because I can keep moving my pieces on my mat and still get lots of use out of this piece of cardstock. So I've got my numbers on here, and just going to, you can use your spatulas, whatever you need. I usually just kind of bend my mat and get it started. And just kind of use my spatula and lift pieces off of there when my mat's brand new. If you've detacked your mat, you can probably just bend it and lift those numbers right off. Just be gentle till you're used to it so that you don't rip your numbers. So now we're just going to take a little bit of glue on those. And now we're going to offset these so that we have like a little shadow layer. I want to get them straight, just like so. And that's going to create that little shadow look. And the more videos you come and watch with us on Mondays, the more you'll learn, the more tips and tricks you'll learn, because I can promise you, you learned a lot tonight, but there's lots more to learn, guys. There's lots more. And the more you learn, the more successful you're going to be with your new machines. Trying to make sure that I get those even. Trying to keep the tops of my numbers even. It's hard to do unless I'm standing up. Pretty good. It may not be perfect. Get yours perfect. I'm just trying to make sure that we stay in our time frame. And then we're just going to plop that one on. Super, super quick and easy to put that card together. Once you get used to it, you can make a card like this in about 5 minutes. And I'm sure that all of our experienced girls can vouch for that. You can do these very, very, very quickly. Okay? Super cute. Happy New Year's card. You can use this for thank you. First rule of 2021, never talk about 2020. Thank you for the porch gift you left. Happy New Year. Anything that you need to. This can be a double card. Thank you and a Happy New Year. Yeah, super easy to create that shadow look when you're doing 2 different colors of cardstock. You can use any color you want here, guys. Use some reds, some purples. You can use a purple. I just went with the black, the standard black and gold, but you could do like a purple instead of a black and then do purple glitter numbers. That would be pretty. Yes, we do have a series of Learning Design Space videos. We'll have a playlist if you guys need that. You can stop and start. They're split up into 8 videos. A total time for all 8 videos is under 3 hours. So you won't remember it all, but you'll be familiar. So that when you come and we're talking about some of these things like slice and weld, you'll know what we're talking about. Yeah, sometimes it takes me a day to pick out cardstock too, so I know that feeling. But I'm about to switch over like Marianne does and print mine, but then I'll spend 2 days looking for the paper that I like to print my own cardstock. You guys can do that too. We'll be covering that here in 2021, printing your own cardstock. All right, does anybody have any questions? Anything that we covered tonight? Anything that we didn't cover that you need help with? Let us know. All right, guys, I want to say thank you for joining me. Thank you to my moderators. Thank you to my supporters on Patreon, Ko-fi, and our channel memberships. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful, happy new year. I will see you on January the 4th. Let's just pull that up just to make sure. The calendar is up for Patreons on the 2021 tab, supporter tab on the site. I will be putting this in the group. I'll try to put it up tonight. If I don't, I'll try to get it up tomorrow. But the calendar is coming up, and we will be live on Monday, January the 4th. You guys have a wonderful night. Please give a thumbs up, a like, and a share. We'll see you guys next Monday.